Hi everyone, welcome back to Broomy's Garage. Thanks so much for watching, tuning in. Today we're going to run through exactly how I rebuilt this garage. All right, so many of you watching now probably realized the video a couple of months ago now that we had a giant tree fall on the garage down right at that end where that brand new nice roller door sits and the nice high roof is. It didn't always look that way. It was higher roof up where I'm standing now, a much lower roof there, a tale of two halves basically, where we had added on sections to the garage and an existing section was there. Now obviously you can see it's all one height in the roof and it's looking absolutely immaculate. Now, how we got about that and how we rebuilt and what tools we did is what we're going to go over in this video today. So if you want to learn how to build your own garage yourself, here are some of the tools you need, and let's then go over some of the equipment and how we go over building and some of the progress on the shed and how we get to where we are today. Right, so what I have here is sort of a tale of two halves, and here are what I would class as the absolutely essential tools, the bare minimum to get your job done. And over here are the tools that would be nice to have if you've already got them or if you can afford them in your budget to get the job done, that will absolutely save time, save you back, and save you a lot of heartache and headache in that too. So let's run over what these tools are just quickly, and then we'll get into some of the building. Right, so let's take a quick look and a closer look at some of those tools. So we have our tin snips. You'll see there's left, right and straight ones. So tin snips will just get you out of trouble if you need to cut and shape some of these Colorbond that you'll be cutting. Of course, what we need here, which is screws. So these ones are just your normal style small ones, like 16 mil or whatever. These ones are the larger ones, which are for your roofing panels. And these ones are for the clear laser light style sheets. You see they've got a big washer and they actually seal on top of the ridge. Next we have a tape measure. This is Stanley Fat Max. The reason why I've got plenty of these, the main reason I use these is the standout, which is how far this will go without breaking down, is quite long, so they're very reliable. So get a decent tape measure, because you're obviously going to be measuring over 3 meters, and this one will actually stay taut for over 3 meters. So decent tape measure, a spanner, might be 16, 18, whatever it is. You'll need a spanner and a socket, and if you're just using an impact wrench, you need an adapter for that. They will be for the larger bolts which bolt all the purlins and that together. Always need a hammer. This is just a dead blow hammer. You can see it's had a fair bit of use over the years, but this is just so you can tap things into place. You always need a hammer handy when you're doing stuff like this. This is just a level. This is a digital one. And yeah, depending on the angle, you can actually see the readout there. So if you're working by yourself, it's actually magnetic as well. So it sticks to steel surface, such as this workbench here. A couple other things you'll need drill bits. You need some fastener drive bits in order to get the job done. So drill bits, I like these ones. They've just got a little pilot tip right there, which helps the bit not walk around when you're drilling. You'll need to drill this for when you're drilling the holes for the large bolts and the purlins. And these are what's known as fastener drive bits. So these are, you can see there, 5/16. Now, what you'll also see is a whole heap of gunk in there. This is a new style fastener drive bit. So these are, the right hex size for driving in all your self-tapping screws. The difference in this one is it's a fixed head. This one is pretty revolutionary in that you can take the head off, clean all the schmutz out, put the head back on, and there you go, it's clean and ready for use again. So you'll need plenty of these. If you're going to use just these kind of sealed head ones, literally try and find like a 10 pack. You'll probably go through a fair few. Otherwise you could just get one of these. So it's much more better and economical just to get that. Just need a drill, corded, cordless, doesn't matter. You just need a drill to go through, to drill the holes out in the purlins to put the bolts through. So this is just a decent one with 3-speed chuck on it, and I've had this for many years now, very reliable. And last but not least, in terms of the essential tools, the bare minimum that you'll need is an impact driver. Now, this has got a slimline battery because, you know, if you're carrying this around all day, it's nice to have something a little bit light. It's got a couple of speeds, but I just used it on the full one. But yeah, impact driver is a must-have in order to get this job done. All right, so with the absolute essential must-haves out of the way, let's move to some of the non-essential but nice-to-haves. I have here an impact wrench. So you know before how I said you could just use this socket to drive in the bolts. This is obviously 1/2 inch, goes on here, and yeah, it's obviously got a bit more torque in that, and it might be a bit easier to use. If you've only got one tool, quicker to use. If you've got one lying around, great. If not, I wouldn't go out of my way to purchase this just to build your garage. Other option is a second impact driver. So if you can borrow an impact driver off someone else just to get the job done, having a single impact driver is fine. However, if you're finding that some of the bolts up the top, these self-tappers, some of them have 5/16 heads, some of them have 3/8 heads. So if they're all 5/16, you can probably just stick with your one impact driver. If you've got two sizes, the time spent stopping and changing out the impact driver bit versus just having a second impact driver will really speed up the job. You don't think it will, but it actually will quite a bit. So there's one for you. I would say almost this is essential. I know we said, you know, if you need to cut some Colorbond and stuff, you've got tin snips, but quite honestly, if you're doing this job, you've probably already got an angle grinder, but I would definitely be purchasing an angle grinder to do this, to cut the Colorbond and stuff that you need, and flashings and all that to shape. So there's that. You definitely want to look at, I know again I said it's not essential, but the job will be so much easier with a set of clamps to hold stuff in place, especially if you're doing the stuff by yourself like I was. I'd strongly recommend getting some of these one-man sort of clamps in that. So these are the Irwin ones or whatever. So definitely look at that as well. Something else you could consider would be a laser distance measurer. You know, if you haven't got a good tape measure, these are often sort of a little bit more expensive than a tape measure, but you might want to invest in this. What it does is basically sends out a laser beam, you can see there, and it will tell you how far away you are from the object. So that's obviously a good one as well. If you don't want to go the route of the angle grinder and the tin snips, this is basically an accessory that fits in your drill or your impact driver, and it's pretty much then becomes a powered tin snip as well, but again, not necessary. I'd prefer to go with the angle grinder personally. Penultimate sort of things here, again, not essential, but these are really, really, really handy. The amount of time I think these are about 60 bucks or 70 bucks or something. The amount of time something like this will save is just absolutely worth it when you're trying to really like reach across the Colorbond when you're doing the roof sheetings, or in between the battens to try and get screws in. These are just absolutely worth their weight in gold. So that's obviously a fixed right angle one. This one is a flexible one. A little bit less torque load transmitted from here to here on this one. So I find I use this one all the time for a lot of things. So this one's really handy. So last but not least, there's something I invested in this time around when I rebuilt the garage, and that is a tool belt. So you can see here I've got certain pockets. So basically what I had was my large roofing screws there, my smaller screws here. In this one, I think I had I had the roof screws like these ones, the Colorbond sheets. In here I had some accessories and driver bits, and in this one I had some tools like, I think I had the tin snips in here and a pair of pliers just in case, but the amounts, this just obviously clips around your waist. The amount of time spent bending down when you're on the scissor lift to pick something up and get down and pick up screws and that, versus having this in here, this absolutely is, well, again, it's not essential. I would definitely recommend investing in something like this. I think this was only like about 40 or 50 bucks. So again, not essential, but my God, the amount of time this thing saves, I would almost class this as essential anyway. Part one done. Part two is right here that we needed, which means we are tearing into this bad boy now. There's the remnants of our roller door, which has seen better days, but basically, obviously what's going to happen here is get up in this scissor lift, but we've got 7 metre high walls here. And these were I think these might have been 2.4. So, I mean, it's pretty clear to see what's going to happen here. We're just going to replicate what's here over here. So first things first, I have to take off the entire roof. Now I have to take off the roof here because when the tree hit, it's hard to see, but it actually pushed this beam back a bit, which has moved a lot of these sheets back a bit. So I've just got to reset that and then should be good to go. So these just basically, building sheds garage is pretty easy realistically. All that really holds this together are these beams, which are called the purlins, and the way to design is they're called C, so it's C channel and C purlins. You can see another one there. So the garage is pretty much made in modules of every sort of 3.5 meters. You've got these things which are called the battens. You've also got them in the roof, and then all you do is these sheets sort of interlock every 750 mil in on each other. Metal tech screws, self tappers in, every 200 mil or something, and yeah, everything sort of, once it's all built, it ties itself together and gives itself strength overall. So just the frame by itself is very flimsy. The frame with the battens is a little bit better. Once the roof goes on, it ties stuff together. When the wall sheets are on too, it all works in together in conjunction. So if one little part of it fails, like obviously the roof did here in one of the beams, and a big hit from a tree, it doesn't take a lot of force. It'll stand up to the wind, but mechanical force pushing it as hard as it did, as that tree did, it's not really designed to stand up to that. So, all right, time to rip into this, and then next time you see it, hopefully half the roof is off. Got my tools here. This is very handy, 90-degree one with another 5/16 nut setter. And I've got another impact driver here with just the straight bit. Now this is a new bit here from Irwin, so you can see it's 5/16. Normally, as you can see, these things in no time get clogged up with dirt or gunk or metal swarf or whatever, but have a look at this. You pull this end off, clean it up, so clean. Bang some of this out here maybe, and then we whack it back on. It'll be easy to do with the two ends. Here we go. Whack it back on, and look at that. Clean again. That is some smart stuff. Maybe we should just leave the roof off permanently. There's not a light in here, but progress. So next step is, I don't know. Most important part of any project, including building a project car, is to plan first, but then to just do something. Instead of just sitting around and thinking about what I should do, as you can see, roof off straight away. Just get into it, get stuck into it. So I think next step is, so there's going to be a fair few things here. Can either do these beams now, or can start putting the walls up right now, or go and take this off and the rest of the roof. But I think what I'm going to do is put some of the wall cladding up now, just for the sake of it. So if any rain does happen to come and try and blow in, it's a bit more protected. So probably start doing some of that now. Tell you what, I don't particularly like heights, and when the scissor lift does stuff like that, and you're all the way down there, isn't much fun, but gee, it's a million times better than scaffolding, that's for sure. All right, starting to get the roof off. Time for this to come off, realign it, and then some of that back on. See our little friend up there, but oh, it's just right there. There's a bloody huge huntsman. One thing I do not like dealing with. The panels that used to be on up the top there mismatched the bottom, and it looked revolting. And the reason I did that originally was because the original ones are meant to be the same profile as this, but then when I tried to screw them on, they didn't line up, and now I know why. Look, they're just slightly out by a couple of millimeters. So I don't know if this is
maybe Colorbond, and this is Robot's own one from a different business, or you know, these are whatever 20 years old or something, and these were new. But you can see these are rusted out, but you can see the profile just slightly doesn't line up, and that's why they look like utter shit. But now they all gone and it'll all line up. There's one thing I reckon you'll underestimate when you're building a garage or a shed made of like a Colorbond or steel like this, will be tech screws and roofing screws and the wall screws, whatever. This is from just that lot of the wall, this roof, and a few panels up there, and have a look at all those screws. So, you know, you buy a normal, you know, a big box or whatever, and it's only 100 screws. There would be easily close to 250 screws or whatever here, and I've only taken off one little section of the wall and 1.5 basically of sections of the roof and that. So to do this, I reckon I'll need close to 500 roof screws and about probably 700 wall screws or whatever. And the reason I won't be using a lot of these again is these are self-tappers. You see here, you put it in, it drills its own path into the metal. Once these drill once, they instantly basically go blunt, and they never really drill well again. So screws are pretty cheap to buy. Instead of going through the headache of using this stuff, just buy new screws and be done with it. Got the DeWalt laser, so I know exactly where to do it, and that means every screw that I put in will be spot on. Alright, let's whack a few more in. Job done. Not as much progress as I would have hoped today, but getting these old frames out and these new frames set take a fair bit of work, because they've got to be dead even, dead level to actually have a nice straight garage. So that takes a bit. Got an extra batten up there as well. So next job, now that these are set, will be to put the roof battens, and as you can see, that one looks like it's leaning a bit and this one's leaning a bit because they've got nothing to support them. So put the roof battens up next, and then put the other batten up here. Then I'll take the whole roof off, take the extra gutter on that side, gutter all of this side, probably put all of this roof back on, because I think rain is coming next week. So I've got tomorrow, Sunday, to get this done. Otherwise, I might get a bit wet in here. It definitely was wet this morning from all the dew. It was incredible. It's like it had rained, but yeah, we'll get that done and protect here, because as you can see, there's nothing really here at all. So if I leave that part of the roof on, leave this uncovered, but get all this roofed, we'll be kicking goals. Ooh, look at that hair, fantastic. Frame, all the frames are up. Sides are all done here. Sides are on the back part. This half of the roof is done after I reset the beams. Started on that part of the roof there, so hopefully, weather's not looking great. It won't show on the clouds there, but it's really grey skies above or whatever. So before the rain comes, I'd like to get the roof done to here at least, so then I can pull this whole beast back under cover, and then everything, like I said, everything from here back basically is important. And there's nothing there, so I don't really care. And then if it gets a bit wet, which as you can see definitely has already, with a bit of, mainly a lot of dew, but and a tiny bit of rain overnight or whatever. But yeah, we'll see how much we can get knocked out now and get to it. It is a hard job by yourself, but luckily I've done it before, so I know some of the tips and tricks and that, and we might go over a few of those once I get this out of the way and all done. Look at that, the old cracking whirlybird. So, you know, I've talked about it plenty about it being quite warm in here, and as you can see, one of the things I've done is eliminate probably at least half or more than half of the clear sheets. But I've got a bit of old whirlybird action here to try and draw some of the heat out. So only concern is some of these trees drop some branches or something that it gets embedded in there, and 4.5 meters up, it's going to be not much fun freeing it again. But that's there. All the guttering is done on this side, so I can now put the rest of the roof structure here, because as you can see, the wall's done. And then I got to, I think, put one more beam up there and then finish the guttering there, and I can do that side of the roof as well, and then just have to block the front end. We are done, which is good news. And I tell you what, you can't see wobbling on the scissor lift here, but there's one weird sensation, is that after a tired day being on the scissor lift up and down, it wobbling like that, you get in the shower or something and you close your eyes and you still feel like you're doing this. It's quite bizarre, but yeah, almost done now. So definitely home stretch and looking good. All right, let's get back to work now. I haven't filmed much of actual action because, as you can see, probably see on the floor, that's covered in mud and it is absolutely soaking wet. It's been raining a heap and it's not easy to mount a camera and stuff here at the moment. So what I really need to do, and I've been meaning to do it for a long time, is get onto Hoon TV's page and purchase one of their 3-footed monsters, which is a magnetic camera mount for action cameras or any cameras really, and they're absolutely killer. Luke's using plenty of time for filming stuff for full boost, so been meaning to get one for a long time, so I'll get one now. After the fact that I've done this, it would have been actually pretty killer to have this to, you know, attach it to stuff like this, and you could see it going up and being built and that. But oh well, dumb me, didn't order it in time, so yeah, I'll have to have that for next project car, which is coming soon. Well, this is the first decent test and decent hit out for the garage, because it is absolutely bucketing down outside, and from what I can see, unlike before where we had a bit of a hodgepodge, half and half, and some flushing set up that didn't really work that well, the floor in here is remarkably dry. Definitely need to run with the lapel mic now, because the roof space is so much even bigger. I can even hear in my voice just the reverberations off here. So, you know, recording with a shotgun mic or something just definitely wouldn't work, or the internal mic on this kind of camera, and that, you know, just would not work. So got the old lapel on, and hopefully that helps a fair bit more. But yeah, still shitloads to do obviously. So I've cleaned the floor as well as I can. This will be just bit by bit sort of thing. So essentially, to get rid of all the water and dirt, I used more water and dirt. I got the hose out and just hosed it out the makeshift opening I've got there. So one thing that I haven't done yet is I need to work out exactly the size of the roller door that I want here. So the roller door that you can see all the way up there is, it's only like 2.4 or 2450 tall. So there's no real reason to go way taller than that, because you know, if I set up something on the trailer here or do whatever and then I can't get it out there, it's just dumb. So I'm thinking probably 2700 high, and then in terms of width, what you can see here is there's a pole right there which is connected to a sort of a shade sail. So again, there's no use going, you know, miles wide for no reason. So what I'll probably do is I'll measure from this post here to somewhere, or where that pole is, and I'll probably work out the width around there. So yeah, I think that's probably going to be around 3-ish meters, so probably 2700 high and probably 3 meters wide will be more than good enough, because as you can see, I've been working with from here to here, and the F truck basically with the side mirrors, I had
without a word of a lie, about 10 mil either side, which was a total pain in the ass. And I clipped the mirrors on the roller door running tracks a fair few times because it's just so difficult to get down here. So the driveway is really narrow as it is, but yeah. So next thing, I guess, next plan for this is, obviously you can see, look at all the room up there, all the way around the shed, you know. So I really need to make better use of this floor space. So it is quite narrow. Now I was thinking of the Joel's Garage Gear hoist is phenomenal. And I was thinking of getting another 4-post hoist right here and putting it here and easily move things in that, but just the footings of the hoists and that mean all the area around it becomes sort of null and void. So I know for a fact that the garage is 5 meters width, so it's very narrow, but I know that I can get, I used to have the 626 and the RX-7 sitting side by side in the front half of this. Actually, I think it was in the back, and I even had the F-truck in the front. So I know that I think if I don't run with a 4-post hoist here, that you know, obviously we know the 929 is going to be here in the next couple of days. I think I can get the 929 right over on this side, and then you know, potentially something else over here if it's a car trailer or whatever it might be. And then we've got the RX-7, it might be there, or you know, the RX-7 might sit up here with and the 929 might be back there or whatever. But I just think I'll be able to make better use of the limited space I got here without a 4-post hoist. But yeah, I might do some more measurements and see how that goes. You know, I might be able to get it right up hard against that wall and that, but I'm pretty sure it's about 3-ish sort of meters wide. So if you count 3 meters, you know, I'm basically out to sort of here. And as you can see, it almost leaves that room that's here as a bit useless. So I'm not sure. I'll have to do some more measurements. You know, it's in the budget that if I want to buy one, I can. But yeah, it's not so much the money, it's more so the space. So something else I'm really thinking about is actually maybe building at the front here, when the roller door gets in, building like a mezzanine that maybe, you know, it isn't really long, but maybe a mezzanine that's sort of out to here. So sort of like maybe 2 meters, and something that's pretty high, you know, and then all this top section up here at the front half, and also maybe replicating up the back becomes mezzanine storage. Because as you can see here, I mean, what you would have noticed in the videos when we've been building the RX-7 is that I've had like sort of a fold-out table with a black tablecloth over it to film products and have stuff work in progress or whatever. And I've had a lot of plastic tubs and stuff around the ground. And just looking at the floor space now, this garage is so much more functional without a lot of that clutter in here. And that even goes for all of that storage there. So I think if I could get a lot of that off the floor and those cabinets weren't there, and I could maybe move a couple of these cabinets down there as well, you know, I think maybe if we could move one of those ones over to here, and then if I could move the other 2 down to there and get rid of all those cabinets, it'll just remove a lot of that clutter that, you know, sometimes it just becomes very difficult to move around in this garage, and you spend a lot of time cleaning up because it just looks so messy. So another thing I have to work out is, you know, some kind of tube racking in that as well. So yeah, I don't know what else is in store, but I think definitely some form of mezzanine storage would be great. It needs to be sort of freestanding on its own. So you know, that these posts have just got like 2 dyno bolts in the ground and into the concrete, and then they sort of all tie into each other, but they're not really meant to be, you know, you're not meant to be having 500 kgs of storage hanging off them or anything. So whatever I do, I'll need to put some other posts in the ground, you know, other steel posts, and sort of build it in off that, so they've got their own sort of support and yeah, I can put some decent weight, but it doesn't need to be mega deep. You know, these type of, it probably just needs to be deep enough to fit, you know, a couple of these kind of tubs. So I think these are about, they're probably only about like 450, 500 deep. So if it was like, even if the mezzanine storage was 1.5 meters, you could fit 3 of those in. And if you did like 2 layers to the mezzanine, to the shelving, so that it could easily, you don't want to stack boxes on top of each boxes. You want to have the shelving in there like this shelving is, and the stuff up the back, because if you need to get something at the bottom, you don't want to have to rearrange everything just to get to the bottom. You just want to be able to pull something out and get to it. So I'm liking the idea of doing something like that up there, because I just want to get rid of the stuff that's always sitting on the ground, and even on those shelves. I think if that shelving wasn't there, this would look a lot neater. The other idea that I'm really playing with is, as you can see, this has got a real shed vibe more than a garage or workshop sort of vibe. So, you know, if I want to take nice photos of the car or whatever, as you can see here, you know, it's very sort of, it's a very backyard garage looking sort of scenario. So I'm thinking that if I plasterboard this section and this section, and maybe even that section, and then, you know, I was to paint it all sort of bright white or something, it'll give a really clean look, and almost sort of somewhat of a more of a studio sort of vibe, rather than just the steel, the sort of very agricultural looking steel frame and Colorbond or whatever ridging in that. So that's something I'm playing with as well. See how we go with that. Again, it's in the budget to do it, so it's more of a time and that kind of factor. You know, like how these are all hung. I'd like to hang these all properly in the all the same location off the top. You know, because I've got all the ones at MVP, Mishimoto, we've got a couple on Doucheworks and that up there, Turbo Smart and whatnot. So I'd like to hang those banners properly up the top. But yeah, I think I'd really like to plasterboard, gyprock, all that side in, just so it's something very nice and clean and really presentable. So if I want to take photos for whatever, yeah, it's a nice backdrop. So that's where we're at the moment. We'll continue the cleanup and yeah, see how we're looking in a few days. All right, that about does it. Now you can see finally the roller door is in place. So that means that this place is 100% locked up, secured and all done, which means I can get to work on other great things. So plenty of more content now coming on its way. You also would have recently seen the video in the background here of the RX-7, which was another reason I couldn't even do any video anyway, even if I wanted to, because that was a real special reveal. So we've seen that just now on full boost over the last week. So go check out that if you haven't. The guys at Vintage Customs absolutely hit it out of the park, and I'm really, really pumped to get to the track. But car RX-7 there is looking $1 million. So yeah, garage is now in place. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.